my talk today, I want to challenge the assumption that we need to increase diversity hiring. I know that goes against everything we've been learning in this class, but hear me out. Today's push for diversity is about companies either deciding they want a specific number or a percentage of workers to fit into minority groups such as women, people of color, or the LGBTQ community. This is setting our leaders up for failure with hiring. If people push you to, for example, hire more people of color, you may lose out on a white woman who is more qualified for the position because you wanted to increase diversity. That's not helping your team. That is not helping your company. There is a need for the diversity push. Until recent history, there have been stereotypes of women in the workplace, whether that being in actual leadership positions, especially in male-dominated fields, such as the military. A quote from our book says, "You have to be an extraordinary, while men have to just be ordinary to become leaders." In the military, it's, being strong, being bold, being aggressive is seen as a good thing, whereas those are not always the traits we see in women. So when women are bold and aggressive and strong, it's actually seen as a negative thing. In the past, too, racial minorities it was very difficult for them to go to college because typically they came from poor communities. Whereas now we're seeing a much larger number of racial minorities in college because of scholarships and all these other ways that they can get into college and make it a little bit easier for them to get a degree and then get a better paying job. We need to find a better middle ground. We don't want to go from men hiring more white men to completely the opposite, where we are only hiring women and people of color. That's not creating actual equality. Equality happens when you hire the best person for the position. You need to base that off talent, base that off the needs of your company, the needs of your team. And we can't afford to be going from, again, bias against women to bias against men. That's still sexism. The same thing goes for being biased for or against white people. That's still racism either way. So if you hire people on their job qualifications rather than their social status, you are going to be getting, again, the best people for your company. And if we see a possibility in that not happening because people just can't lose that bias, they're actually creating AI right now that will help take out names out of resumes, anything that can trigger a background of a person to give you the bias that you have. So you are getting the exact talent you're looking for instead of the person physically that you see in your head. For example, we see a push for a lot of companies will either say, hey, we want people in here that are going to bring fresh ideas. So you may want people that are coming straight out of college. So you hire that girl who just graduated. She's 23. She has a degree in engineering. Whereas maybe there's a position open where you need someone who's going to be able to hit the ground running. You want them to know what they're doing. You want them to just be able to go. So you hire a 36-year-old male. You're getting two different genders. You're getting people of different ages, possibly people of different races, but you're getting exactly what you were looking for either way. Now, I do want to point out that throwing out diversity hiring tactics does not mean we don't need diversity tolerance in the workplace. Two very different ideas going on. Once people are hired in, again, you have the talent you need. And that's probably going to be a diverse team in one way or another because, again, we live in a diverse world. If you hire based on talent, you're going to get a diverse team in most cases. So at that point in time, you're going to have to learn to challenge your way of thinking of how you're grouping people. Group people again based on talent is always a good choice, and then finding other similarities with people to be able to connect between you as a leader and your team members, and to get your team members to connect as well, because people that get along are going to work well together and things are going to get done better. So just finding people that, have the same after work activities as you, or finding people in similar life stages as you. Me expecting a baby, I might be able to bond with a male coworker whose wife is also expecting. We may not have anything else in common other than we are both about to become parents. In the boxes video we saw, they had a quote that says, "There's us and there's them, those we feel comfortable around and those we don't." So let's challenge what we consider us and them. Living here in Michigan, we're going to have state fans and we're going to have U of M fans. So let's make that the us versus them rather than the, Gen X to the millennial group, instead of that being the us versus them. Continuing with retaining that talent is a lot of my leadership style is learning what people are good at. God made us all completely different in a lot of different ways. We all obviously look very different, because it'd be very boring if we all look the same. We all have different personalities and we all have different talents. And I think if we are able to use that invisible leadership style and can lead from behind and let people grow and show us what they can do, show us their strengths, we're doing exactly what God wants us to do. And again, watching what people can create for themselves, can create for you as a team. You have to let people's gifts shine in that way, and that is a great way to honor God and honor those individual things that He gave to each one of us. So that is me challenging the diversity hiring, which is completely different from being a diverse leader and accepting the diversity you have from the talent that you got from hiring based on your experiences and your degree and your learning experiences.